Microphone. Good evening. My name is Dr. Galina Andreeva. Here in Bahrain, I am probably the 8th time. First of all, I would like to thank the dearest Sheikh Hamay for kind invitation to participate in this evening event. Also, your wonderful staff, Esmeralda Kabani, for making this day here very comfortable. I am very pleased to introduce this evening my dear friend and colleague, Dr. Kamola Akilova from Uzbekistan. She is an expert on cultural heritage. She is a professor and she is the former Deputy Minister of Culture of Uzbekistan and currently the Director of National Art Gallery of Uzbekistan. If we're looking through the centuries back, we will find a lot in common between the cultural heritage of Bahrain and Uzbekistan, as far as concerned climate, nature, religion, traditions, even in languages. That is why I think that tonight's lecture will be interesting for all of us. The government of Uzbekistan, authorities and cultural foundations, they do a lot to preserve and to promote heritage, cultural heritage. 7 nominations now included in the UNESCO World Heritage list and 31 still waiting. We will see tonight wonderful presentation about some those objects of Uzbekistan. The authorities of Uzbekistan, they do restoration, cultural projects, festivals, publications. They initiated unique project, the cultural heritage of Uzbekistan in the world collections. And they published already 70 volumes about this heritage. Also, they do a lot to preserve architecture. Even calligraphy in architecture is an interesting subject, and they published books. And Dr. Kamola Akilova, she is involved in many cultural projects. She is knowledgeable, and she will share tonight her knowledge, her love, and her experience of giving new life to national heritage to make it modern and interesting for current and future generations. And I do hope that she will become a devoted friend of Sheikh Hamay, of Sheikh Ibrahim Center, and of Bahrain, the blessed land, the land of 2 seas, as all of us, the real lovers of Bahrain and its cultural heritage. So please share your lecture. It will be, I'm sure, interesting and very inspiring.
Assalamu alaikum. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. First of all, I want to say thanks to Sheikh Hamay. I'm twice at the Bahrain because several years ago I was at the session of UNESCO in Bahrain. I took part as Deputy of Minister of Culture, and now I want to tell you about our heritage. I would like to start my lecture with a brief excursion into the history of art in Uzbekistan. In order to get acquainted with our heritage and then talk about its use of its preservation, study, and popularization. Geographically, Uzbekistan is located at about the same latitude as the Mediterranean states such as Spain, Italy, and Greece. However, the weather conditions of Uzbekistan are significantly different. from the conditions of these subtropical states. This is explained by the fact that the territory of Uzbek Republic is considerably removed from warm oceans and seas, as it is located inside the Eurasian continent. The Silk Road, if you want, you see our landscapes. We have rivers, we have mountains, we have deserts, and of course, it's all has influence to the development of our art, culture, architecture. And especially I want to tell and say about Silk Road, because Silk Road was an Asian network of trade routes formally established during the Han dynasty of China. These routes, which linked the regions of the Asian world, were used to exchange art, religion, philosophy, technology, language, science, architecture, and every other element of the civilization. Beyond silk, the trade was carried by the merchants from country to country and brought a wide variety of knowledge, ideas, cultures, and beliefs from East and West, which had a profound impact on people as well. Architectural heritage of Uzbekistan is a unique and distinctive phenomenon that deserves a more careful examination from the point of view of modern architectural studies. You know, we have very ancient historical cities, Bukhara, Samarkand, Shahrisabz, and for example, Samarkand is 2,750 years. Bukhara is 2,500, and Tashkent is 2,200, and it's you can see Hiva. We have very different regions of Uzbekistan, and every region has his culture, maybe some his history, traditions, language, because we have different dialects. And this is Shahrisabz. I know that you, Mr. Mubarak, very good knows our Shahrisabz and his problems too. It's Kakand, it's palace of Hudayr Khan, the last Khan at the Kakand. And I want some words say that the origins of the genesis of art in Uzbekistan are lost in ancient times. Chronologically, they date back to the Stone Age, most of them to the late Paleolithic era. Thematically, they reflect mainly images of the animal world: goats, horses, dogs, antelopes, deer, bulls, and yaks. In terms of plot, these are hunting, skins, dancing, and the different. The petroglyphs of Uzbekistan, like the Asian rock paintings of Eurasia, had syncretism when thought, feeling, fears, and practical need were concentrated in the image. Some themes and subjects became centuries-old images and subjects in subsequent stages of the development of art. The Achaemenid period is the first bright period in the history of art of Uzbekistan, when the artistic traditions of agricultural and nomadic culture clearly emerged, which found clear expression in specific styles. You can see the exhibits from Amudarya treasure. Nowadays, this treasure is in the British Museum. And the second period was Hellenistic period. Today we were at the museum and we saw the Fort Museum, and we saw the Hellenistic period at the territory of Bahrain. The campaign of Alexander the Great in Central Asia in 327 BC was important for the social, political, and cultural life of the region. As research note, the inclusion of the southern regions of Central Asia into large Hellenized states led to the introduction of a new political and administrative system in these territories, a change in the social structure with the introduction of certain forms of slave farming, a rise to a new level of the economy, and the emergence and development of commodity money relations. Our academic Ritveladze notes there are significant innovations in spiritual and artistic culture. The introduction of Greek and the emergence of local Bactrian writing on its basis, the introduction of Greek and the emergence of local Bactrian writing was it's very good, very big influence of Hellenistic culture in urban planning, architecture, and fine arts. The spread of Greek beliefs in religious life. This was a major from which the history of Central Asia begins the new era. The Asian period became a bright and significant stage in the history of artistic culture of Uzbekistan, which was reflected in works of art. The art of this period synthesized local artistic traditions with ancient Indo-Buddhist and steppe ones. This was explained by religious tolerance and loyalty, which in turn was due to the changing political situation, the entry of the historical regions of Uzbekistan into various state entities. During this period, the art of Uzbekistan rose to an incredibly high artistic level, many unique examples of which iterate the treasure of all art. Today we see the ceramic forms at the museum, and we have in Greece, in ancient Greece, was the fiala, the name of ceramics form, and now in Uzbek language we use the word piala. For example, it's items from the Dalverzin treasure, 1st century. You can see Hall of Kings at Toprakala. It's reconstruction, of course, but the Hellenistic period was not only southern regions of Uzbekistan, but at the horizon, at the different regions. Aswari in the form of mausoleum. Maybe you know Aswari is connected with Zoroastrianism, and among the original exhibits of that period are ossuaries or ostadans, special cooled ceramic ossuaries used in burial rites of fire or worshippers. In accordance with these customs, after this, the body of the deceased was taken out to the platform, dakhma, for specially trained dogs or birds clean eat of meat, and then the bones were stored in ossuaries and placed in special burial chambers, nausis. It was before Islamic period. You can see the fragments of the different ossuaries, and the Zoroastrianism was at Uzbekistan in the different regions, and we find the different ossuaries too. You can see ossuary Tokkala, it's from Horizm, 8th century, with images. And it was very interesting period in the history of art. Its gods, it was until the Islamic periods. Buddhism. Buddhism left a deep mark on the ancient and early medieval history of the south of Uzbekistan, which is evidenced by the discovery and research of monuments, as well as finds of highly artistic works and objects related to Buddhist culture. It is also characteristic that the most famous and ancient monuments of Buddhism in Central Asia were found precisely in the south of Uzbekistan, the territory of which in the 1st, 3rd centuries AD was part of one of the great powers of the Asian world, the Kushan Empire. Currently, in the south of Uzbekistan, unique Buddhist monuments are well studied. Cave-ground temples and monasteries on Karatepa, Fayastepa, Zurmala, and the other. The study of these monuments shed light not only on the history of Buddhism in Central Asia, but monuments shed light not in Central Asia, but also on the role of this region in the subsequent spread of this religion in China and further in Korea and Japan. An archaeological study of these monuments of southern Uzbekistan showed that the flourishing of Buddhism and Buddhist culture in Bactria dates back to the reign of the great Kushans. Bodhisattvas. These exhibits are at the different museums and the research institute of Academy of Sciences. Bodhisattvas fragments that all was found at the south of Uzbekistan. It's near Afghanistan. Wall painting. The wall painting Fayastepa, it's a very famous site of Buddhist culture. And Aswari, and you can see the influence of the Indian culture, and at the down you can see a sacrifice and priests left and right, and they have mask because they couldn't breathe to the sacrifice. The next period is the early Middle Ages period in the history of art of Uzbekistan. Is one of the most complex, multi-vector, and I know that you was at Samarkand, and I think you saw this wall painting. It's very famous Afrasiab. It's before Islamic period, and it's very, very nice. We see compositions about life of the period, and very nice portraits, very nice subjects. And you can see we have very unique portraits. Some European scientists says about the only after Alexander the Great in this territory was fine art, but our scientists says no, because archaeological excavations showed us that this fine arts was in the ancient times. It's Varakhsha, maybe you saw. Varakhsha is in Bukhara region, and if Afrasiab is at the blue color, we see the red color. Red color is the symbol of life in Central Asia, and we have many examples in our traditions, in our art, that this color is very interpreted fragments of Varakhsha. Sculpture, it's 5th century. You can see that it is the local traditions, not only Hellenistic, because in our history we have a synthesis of Hellenistic traditions, Buddhism traditions, local traditions, samples of artistic metal, 5th century. We see the camel at the rock art, and we see the camel in the medieval art, and it was symbol of life in our art. And you know, in deserts, not horses, only camels. Only with camels we can moving. It's very specific. Bowl, Chalak settlement, 5th century, and in this bowl we can see the influence of Greece and Indian Buddhist culture traditions. Carved slabs, 7th, 8th centuries, and the ornament is very interesting, because at the Islamic period this ornament will be changed, and the aesthetic will be the other. Art of Uzbekistan, 9th and 13th centuries, aesthetic and poetics of Islam. A medieval town of the 9th, 10th centuries is a concentration of crafts and trade, in which architecture is actively developing with the presence of new types of structures associated with Islamization of the state. During this period, the compositional language of architecture was formed, and it is served as a vector for the development of special structures in the further formation of medieval architecture. Do you know it's a mausoleum of Samanids in Bukhara, 10th century? It's a border between period before Islamic art and Islamic art. It's a very nice and very interesting object. Coins of the Islamic period, you can see, we don't see the portrait as Hellenistic period. It's the calligraphy, and we have a lot of numismatic collections, and at our gallery, it's Gallery of National Bank of Uzbekistan, we have a very big collection of numismatics, and we have numismatics not only Uzbekistan, we have numismatics of Central Asia, and its collection occupied the 2nd place after collection of Central Asia of British Museum. Fortress walls of Bukhara, you know, and Bukhara Chashmai Ayub, it's the other aesthetic. The art of the Islamic period is of great interest. In the first centuries of Islam, figurative images of people and animals were preserved on the territory of Uzbekistan. The struggle of the Arabs with the visualization of images and plots was long. Thus, Ibn Haykal, he was Arabian, who visited Samarkand, writes, amazing images of horses, bulls, camels, and wild goats are carried from Cyprus. They stand one against the other, as if they are examining each other and want to engage in a fight or competition. The images were also preserved in wall painting, which was a continuation of the traditions of Sogd, Bactria, and Khwarezm. The aesthetic of Islam, as researchers noted, was designed to plunge being into non-existence with the help of art. Sufism, we have this tendency, Sufism, which in essence was a polysemantic system of symbols with many meanings, became a unique manifestation of the philosophy of Islam in the Middle East. The conquest of Central Asia by the Arabs occurred in the 7th, 8th centuries, but the manifestation of a new formed artistic style of Islam occurred in the second half of the 10th century. In this era, in a social life of the Caliphate countries, along with religion and the science, artistic craft came to the fore, which was actively developed in the process of the growth of feudal and commercial cities. In connection with Islamization, there was a change in the artistic worldview, style, and art forms themselves. A new period begins in the art of the Central Asia interfluve Maveranahar. Monumental painting and sculpture of previous centuries, starting from the 8th century, gradually disappear. The pictorial culture gives way to ornamental art, which becomes one of the dominants of Muslim aesthetics, defining the peculiarities of the style of artistic craft and the design of architectural structures. You can see Jack Maveranahar. The Arabian gave the name Maveranahar to our territory of Uzbekistan and Central Asia. 11th century, and you can see in 10th century we saw the motifs of birds and animals too. And of course calligraphy, inscription Kufi, 10th century. It's from archaeological excavations at the Afrasiab. And of course I cannot say about the science, because an important role in the development of science in the East during the Islamic periods belongs to the science of Maveranahar. And I only say the names, the famous scientists. The most prominent representative of regional medieval science is Muhammad ibn Musa al-Khwarizmi. Maybe you know him. A contemporary and associate of al-Khwarizmi, a native of Fergana, Abul Abbas Ahmad al-Firgani, known in Western Europe under the name Alfraganus, also made a huge contribution to the science of the Muslim Renaissance. Al-Biruni went down in the history of world science as an encyclopedic scientist. He wrote about 150 scientific works on many branches of science of the time, but Al-Biruni's encyclopedic knowledge manifested most of all in the field of exact sciences. The bulk of his works are works on astronomy, mathematics, mathematical geography, and geodesy. Another major representatives of the Khwarezm Mamun Academy, do you know, it was Mamun Academy in Khwarezm, is Abu Ali ibn Sina, known in the Western world as Avicenna. And his works in Europe were printed after Bible at the second place was. Timurid Renaissance, the invasions of the hordes of Chinggis Khan, do you know Chinggis Khan? At the beginning of the 13th century, devastated the Central Asia oasis. Many cities were destroyed, and a severe economic crisis ensued. Only in the 14th, 15th centuries, with the appearance on the political arena of Amir Timur, who revived the country and created a very big empire, the peoples of Maveranahar once again embarked on the path of reviving culture and statehood. This time was marked by the restoration of cities, constructions of new grandiose monuments of architecture, development of arts, poetry, crafts, such crafts as ceramics, embossing of vessels, weapons, jewelry, various types of textiles and other flourished at that time. The spiritual and material heritage of this era is one of the brightest pages of world history. And you can see in architecture, or we can see the traditions of pre-Mongolian period. Toki-Zargaron, Bukhara, it was object for jewelry art, and we have this object now too. It 16th century, and Samarkand, Registan Square, it's objects of 15th, 17th century, and yesterday you very really noticed about in this square was the international festival Sharq Taronalara, and it's very amazing, and it's European engraving of 90 European engraving, where we can see Mirza Ulugh among famous astronomers of different times. He thought left, but he is not Eastern, he is maybe more European, and it's we can understand why. Reconstruction of Ulugh-Beg's 15th century astronomical observatory. At the territory of Uzbekistan and in Central Asia, we can see the development of astronomy, mathematics, geometry. It's very, very interesting. Ulugh-Beg Astronomical Observatory, 15th century, it is in Samarkand, and you saw this object, you know. Astrolabe, Master Muhammad Hashim, it's Termes. Termes is our ancient cities too, and it's exhibit of astronomy, and of course miniature art, because at the Timurid periods we saw Renaissance, Timurid Renaissance, and the miniature art is one of the very bright part of this Renaissance. And you can see it's very, very nice, and I think it will be the special subject, special topic for the lections, because it's very nice. It's collective art, because we can see the miniature artists and the ornamentalists, calligraphers. A miniature for Alisher Navai's work, Hamsa. Alisher Navai is our very great poet, and you can see miniature to the work of Masoud Kohistani, Tarihi Abul Khair Khani. And it's very traditional, very nice art. And nowadays in Uzbekistan we see the renaissance of this miniature art. Miniature to the Hasrou Dehlavi, to the Vice Kashifi, and it's beautiful. These manuscripts is at our institutes of Eastern manuscripts, and the Timurid Renaissance and ritual cauldron. It's mausoleum of Hoja Ahmad Yassavi, 14th century, Turkestan. Turkestan is now placed at the territory of Kazakhstan, but it's very near from Tashkent. And now we have borders, modern borders, but the history, the borders were the not same as now. And the Ahmad Yassavi founded the Sufism order, Yassaviya, and his lectures about his ideas, the first were in Tashkent. Warrior armor, 14th, 15th centuries. It's placed at the Museum of History of Uzbekistan. Facing tiles, 16th century. It's Maiolic. It's very nice. And the bottom of the bowl with the image of her, it's Samarkand. Amir Timur very liked the porcelain of China. And he wanted that the porcelain was at the Maviranahar, at our country. And it's not porcelain, it's faience. Faience. It's a very famous artist, Kamaleddin Begzod. She lived at Herat and the Tabriz, but we think it's part of our heritage because at the Herat, then ruler was son of the Amir Timur, Shahrukh. Hamsa by Nizami, now it's British Library. Construction of the Al-Havarnak Palace, it's his very famous work. Ulugh on the hunt. In miniature art, we have the specific subjects, maybe hunt, maybe battle, it may be life of palace and different. And now you can see the different exhibits of our art now are at the different museums of the different countries. Free Art Gallery, Washington, for example. After the collapse of the Timurid Empire, the Bukhara, Khiva, and Kakand Khans were formed on the territory of the Central Asia interflow that caused noticeably awakening of the previous international contacts and trade relations in the public life. And at the art, we can see the traditions of Timurid Renaissance. In ceramic, for example, Rishtan is a very famous center of ceramic of Uzbekistan. It's, you can see the Lagan, early 20th century, and Gishduvan. Rishtan is at the Fergana Valley, Gishduvan is near Bukhara. And we see traditions of medieval art at the Kakand, Obdasta, Trey. Kakand, Kakand was a great country. Cups, 19th century, it's examples of our decorative applied art. Daguerreo's scabbard, 19th century, and the jewelry art, the temple decoration, Zulfizar, Khiva, and we have the very different local как особенности, какой-то. Yes, we have the regional specifics, and you can see the Khwarezm jewelry art, brass decoration, tumar for preservation people of the bad situations and bad eyes. Women's shoulder jewelry, boss band. It's the purpose of this jewelry is preservation of person from bad, protection. It's our embroidery, Gulkurpa, Tashkent region, and Tashkent region has the specific, the big круги, как это будет? Circles, big circles. It's from the before Islamic art was these motifs, because circle is a symbol of sun, a symbol of life, because sun is life. Suzanne Nurata, you can see the color is very different, and gold embroidery historically was only at Bukhara, and Bukhara Emir controlled these handcrafts, and gold embroidery was handcrafts only for men's, not women's. And now the gold embroidery is different regions of Uzbekistan. You can see historical our dressing gowns, chapan, Galina, and the costumes of Uzbek people is very interesting. It's men's belt. But we see the different variation of belt. It was connected with the защита, product of people too. Then woman's dress and robe, paranja, maybe you know. At the 19th century, our women's clothes, the paranja, and it's women clothes. You can see our fabrics, national fabrics, jewelry, and other. And capes, doppa. It named in Uzbek language, and the dope was different in the different regions, and by the dope we can know which region is this person. And Karkalpakstan, maybe you know, it's autonomy Republic of the Uzbekistan, and they have nomads and have the settlements, and it's very interesting culture. It's examples of men's suits. And the 20th century, we see the traditions of the historical period. But palace of Prince Nikolai Romanov, I once says, because at the end of 19th, at the beginning of the 20th centuries, the process of Europeanizations of the Central Asia region kicked off. The entry of the region into the Russian Empire, its inclusion in the orbit of capitalist relations led to a change in the life of society, traditions, culture, and art. This was particularly reflected in the European parts of the cities of Uzbekistan, where buildings with architectural features of the central regions of Russia popped out, along with new industrial enterprises, banks, printing houses, shops, photo studios, European schools, gymnasiums. It's a very interesting house of diplomat Polovtsov. He worked at India. He was Russian in Tashkent. It's late 19th, early 20th centuries. He very like East, very like Eastern culture, ornament, and now in this building is our Museum of Decorative Applied Art. Then I can say some words about the Turkestan avant-garde. We have this tradition because the Russian artists from Russia came to the Turkestan, to the Uzbekistan, and you can see the works of these artists, Yusupov, Grigoriev. They very liked the East. And maybe you know, in the European art was Orientalism, and Matisse worked in Tangier and Algiers, and very, very different examples. And the Russian artists where at the Turkestan, it's Karahan, it's very famous artist too. And this collection is in our museums of arts in Tashkent and the Karakalpakstan Museum of Arts named after Savitsky, because Savitsky, he collected these works in Nukus city. Karavai, you can see the atmosphere of the 1920 years, and Ural Tansykbaev, his nationality was Kazakh, but he all his life was in Tashkent. He liked Tashkent, and we see his works. And Tansykbaev, it's our famous artist. It's his early period of his art. Kurzin, it's a very interesting artist, the works of 20 years, and rich man campaigns, old and new, because, you know, at 1970 yes, was revolution, socialistic revolution, and the life was changed, and its influences to the art, to the culture. Ustomumin, his name is Alexander Nikolaev, but he took the name Ustomumin. He very liked East culture, and you can see his paintings. And 30, 50 years, we can see the socialistic realism and avant-garde art don't understand, and the socialistic propaganda was for the socialistic realism. And we see in 60 years that these traditions of socialistic realism. Shamsarou Hasanova is the first woman painter in Uzbekistan. Abdullayev, portrait of actor Abror Hidayatov as Othello. And you can see we have the different traditions, different styles. Some words I won't say about Chingiz Akhmarov, Madonna and Child, because he worked at the traditions of Minichi, but at the socialistic realism period was very big critics say that it's not true, it's not real, but now we can see his traditions are living now in the works of our modern Uzbek artists. Fergana dance, Bukhara dance, it's different. And you can see the different works. And you say yesterday about the Akbar and Alisher Rahimov ceramic studio. At the right of me, it's father of the Alisher Akbar Rahimov, Muhyiddin Rahimov. He was a ceramist and he was theoretic. He wrote a very good books about the local schools of ceramic arts. Javlon Omarbekov, Homo sapiens, it's our famous artist, and you can see our modern art, Bahadur Jalal, The Rape of Europe. One my ученица, как сказать, people write it magister dissertation about the myths at the modern art of Uzbekistan, and the Rape of Europe is very famous subject. We have more than 30 works about this subject. our famous artist, the Pearl of Asian Bukhara. If you were at Bukhara, you know the color of Bukhara is different from the different cities. Fazl Ahmad Aliyev, he is from Turkestan, and Ahmad Yassavi, Sufism, origin traditions, influences to his style. Akmal Nur is Eastern Joy. You can see the very different styles, very different trends. Babur Ismailov, Expectation, is very interesting works. We have a historical basis and we have the modern art too, and postmodernism. Of course, we have installations, we have performing arts, photo art, and other. You can see they're very, very different. But about our heritage, Ak Mosque in Tashkent, our ceramics of Kharazm, it's very specific because the geometrical ornaments in these ceramics is dominate. Traditional ornamental painting. Today we saw your traditional ornamental painting, but it's our, and you can see at the ceilings of our traditional houses very different compositions. Panjara, wood carving. We have a very good wood carving masters. It's our traditional heritage too. And works of contemporary masters. And at the finish, I want to say that currently Uzbekistan is experiencing modernization in all spheres of social life. Fundamental social, economic, and spiritual changes are taking place. Problems of cultural development and preservation of historical and cultural heritage are becoming important. In particular, the historical and cultural heritage is becoming an important part of these ongoing transformations, since it carries centuries-old spiritual values that contribute to the preservation of national identity and assures the connection of generations, which is the support of our consciousness. Uzbekistan is one of the owners of a unique historical and cultural heritage. Currently, there are 8,200 objects of material and cultural heritage. The historical centers of Khiva, Bukhara, Shahrisabz, and Samarkand in the crossroads of cultures category are included in the UNESCO World Heritage List. Our great ancestors seemed to take care of the future generations of their descendants. It is these greatest masterpieces that many tourists come to see today from all over the globe and express their genuine admiration. These are masterpieces created by the genius of mankind. They will never be repeated. This is what foreign experts say. The UNESCO list of intangible cultural heritage includes 15 items. The cultural space of the Baisun district. Shashmakom, it's music. Navruz is an Asian Zoroastrian holiday. Katta Ashula is a singing January of the Fergana Valley. The art of Askia, Plav, practice of the Margilan Crafts Center for making atlas and addresses in the traditional way. Lasgi, Kharazm dance, miniature art, the art of Bakhshi, and other. And I won't say the historical and cultural heritage is not just the past. It is an important resource for the development of culture and the country in the future. Heritage is part of a country's national wealth, which determines the subsequent development and influence of the state on the world stage. And today is Uzbekistan. We have the situation specific because today Uzbekistan is an open country that hosts more than 20 international festivals, including the Tashkent International Biennale of Contemporary Art, the Tashkent International Biennale of Decorative and Applied Art, the Kakand Crafts Festival, the Bukhara International Festival of Gold Embroidery and Jewelry Art, and many, many others. Our heritage is exported abroad and presented in the most prestigious museums in the world, such as Louvre and the Institute of the Arab World in France, the James Simon Gallery in Germany, the Gidar Aliyev Center in Azerbaijan, the Pitti Gallery and ads. And of course, I must say about our project, the cultural heritage of Uzbekistan in the different museums. It's one of the book. It's our collection is the Russian Ethnography Museum at St. Petersburg. It's only one book because now we have 70 books devoted to our collection in the different museums in the different countries. And I want to give this book to your center, dear Sheikh Hamaya. It's for you. And this book at 3 languages too, the same, is the book Uzbekistan, Crossroads of Civilizations, Sciences and Cultures from Ancient Times to Nowadays. I was curator of this book when I worked at Ministry of Culture. It was my idea and it's a gift for you. And my book is a history of decorative applied art of Central Asia. And in this book you can take information about the ethnogenesis problems of not only Uzbek but Kazakh, Kyrgyz, Turkmen, Karkalpak peoples. And but this book in Russian, and I'll try to translate in English. Maybe I finished, is 1 hour, and I invite everyone of you to come to Uzbekistan and get acquainted with our Asian history and unique culture. Thank you very much.
Maybe some questions? No questions. If you permit, I will add something just to focus on some important things about Uzbekistan. The title of the lecture was The Problems and also the Methods of Promoting Culture. What has been done in Uzbekistan in the last years related to craftsmen, for example, tax reliefs. So people who doing something with their hands and keep old traditions, they receive tax reliefs. It's very important for them to proceed. Also important that old buildings now is under reconstructions. We saw a lot has been done here thanks to Sheikh Hamay endeavors. But in Uzbekistan, they are trying to renovate old buildings to make them museums, as Museum of Decorative Art, which is in the diplomatic residence of a Russian diplomat, and the palace of one of the Grand Dukes from the Romanov dynasty, Tsar Russian dynasty, now under the auspice or help of German specialists, they're converting the building into one of the museum branches. Also the method to promote cultural heritage, not only on the spot in the country, but also abroad, not only through big exhibitions, but dealing with young generations through universities. Currently in Venice, while Biennale, they have 4 cultural projects, one of them in University of Ca' Foscari. So giving lectures for students, presenting them contemporary projects about decorative art, about architecture, about restoration and preservation, it's very important. And of course, publications you have seen. So it's also they opened new airport in Samarkand, and last year we visited Samarkand and were acquainted with big complex which include hotels, but also big area specially allocated for craftsmen. It's a lot of places where craftsmen present their mastery, their product. So if you settle in those hotels along river embankment, you immediately also visit this center with a craftsman presentation. So it's a lot of different ways and methods to preserve, to promote, to advocate national heritage. So if you don't visit Uzbekistan before, we do recommend to come this magic country, and you will find a lot in common with your own cultural heritage. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Kamola.
Thank you.
Thank you. That's all. Thank you.